Welcome to the channel. Here we explore the shadows between legend and truth, sharing terrifying Bigfoot stories, chilling encounters, and unearthed accounts from the darkest corners of the wilderness. If you enjoy these stories, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps support the channel and lets me keep bringing you more true encounters, straight from the cryptid archives. I always thought I'd hike the Pacific Crest Trail alone, not to find myself or any of that Instagram soul-searching stuff. I just wanted silence. After what happened last year, the last thing I needed was people, the noise, the apologies, the pity. 600 miles in, California was behind me. Oregon stretched out ahead, deep green, misty, quiet. That's when I started noticing the two men. At first I thought it was just coincidence. You see the same faces here and there on the trail, leapfrogging between campsites. But these guys, they never passed me. They were always behind. I'd see them at a distance, across the valley, cresting a ridge just as I left camp, always lingering, watching. One was tall, heavy-set, bald, the other wiry, twitchy eyes. They didn't have trail names, didn't wear gear like real hikers, just carried big black packs. I told myself I was being paranoid, until the second night they showed up near me, without making any noise. I'd camped off trail that evening, way up in a thicket of Douglas fir, hidden under a rock overhang. No one should have found me. But just past midnight, I heard twigs snapping, slow, deliberate. I peeked out of the tent flap. They were standing maybe 30 feet away. No headlamps, no flashlights, just watching my tent, silhouetted by moonlight. I didn't move, didn't breathe. Eventually, they disappeared back into the woods. I packed up and left before sunrise. I hiked fast the next day, took side trails, scrambled over rock outcroppings, did everything I could to lose them. But by dusk, they were behind me again. That night, I didn't camp. I just kept walking. The forest changed in those hours, got darker, wrong, like the trees were pressing in, whispering secrets I couldn't hear. And then, I got lost. My GPS had no signal, my compass spun. Every tree looked the same. I could feel something in my chest, panic, rising like bile. Then I saw the flickering light through the trees. A fire, not a campfire, a ring of burning branches in a clearing. And them. The two men were sitting there, staring into the flames like they were waiting for me, like they knew I'd come this way. They didn't move when they saw me, just smiled. "We were starting to worry," the bald one said. "Thought you might not show." My legs locked up. I turned to run, but I slipped on something wet. A pile of bones, stripped clean, cracked open. Animals, I told myself. But I didn't know. I ran, blind, tearing through the trees, breath hitching in sobs, branches clawing at my face. And then I tripped again, over something enormous lying on the forest floor. Fur, coarse, matted, still warm. At first I thought it was a bear, but then it stood up, 10 feet tall, broad shoulders, a smell like earth and rain and blood. Its eyes reflected moonlight, but not like an animal's, more like glass, ancient and unblinking. It didn't roar, it just turned its head, toward the clearing, toward them, and started walking. I didn't follow. I just crouched in the underbrush, watching from behind a fallen tree. The two men stood when it entered the firelight. They didn't run, they just froze. The tall one reached for something in his pack. The creature moved like thunder, silent but violent. Its hand shot out, grabbed him by the neck, and lifted him clean off the ground. The other man screamed and bolted into the trees. The Bigfoot didn't chase him. It just stared at the man in its grip. Then it bent close and whispered something in a language I didn't understand. The man didn't scream, he just stopped moving. When the body dropped, the fire flared, bright white, and then died out completely. The woods went silent, and the creature looked at me. I held my breath. It didn't come closer, just tilted its head, and slowly raised one long, thick finger, pointing northeast, toward the trail. Then it vanished into the trees. I don't remember how I got back to the PCT. I walked for hours in a daze, slept behind a ranger station, told no one. I don't know what it was. A protector? A god? A monster with a conscience? All I know is, it wasn't human, and it wasn't ours. We should have turned back when we saw the trees. They were bleeding. That's what it looked like. Thick red sap trickling down the bark in long, sticky veins. Max thought it was cool. Rachel snapped photos like it was art. But me? I felt something wrong in my gut, like the woods were wounded and we were the cause. We were 3 days into our backpacking trip in the Smoky Mountains, off-trail, deep in the untouched parts. We wanted isolation. We got it. That night, the fog came in fast, heavy, unnatural. We set up camp in a clearing, but the trees, they felt closer than before, like they'd crept in during the fog. Max was joking by the fire. Rachel was scrolling through her photos. I was scanning the dark, uneasy. Then came the first sound. Knock. A dull thud, deep and distant, like someone slamming a log against a tree. We froze. Another knock. Closer. Max laughed nervously. Sasquatch says hello. We all chuckled, but that sound, it was wrong, rhythmic, intentional. Then we heard breathing, deep, guttural, just outside the firelight. I spun with my flashlight, caught a glimpse of 2 eyes in the dark. Not glowing like animal eyes, just reflective. Still, watching, then gone. I told the others. Max said I was tired. Rachel believed me, though. She started looking around, too. That's when the knocks started again. Not one, many, all around us. 4, 5, 6, like a code. Rachel whispered, "There's more than one." We didn't sleep. We stayed in the firelight, weapons clutched, waiting. Sometime past midnight, we heard something crawl across the tent wall. Not run, crawl, low, silent, and breathing. When morning came, Max was gone. No signs of struggle, just his boot prints, leading into the trees. Bare footprints followed them, huge ones. We were never alone out here. We never had a chance. We were the top of the food chain, or so we thought. Joe, Doug, and I had been hunting together for years. Elk, bear, once a cougar. But this trip, this was different. Deep in the Bitterroot range. No cell service, no GPS, just us in the forest. And then we found the tracks. Massive. Barefoot. 5 toes, but spread wide like something that didn't evolve indoors. Joe thought it was a prank. Doug laughed and said, "Let's hunt ourselves a legend." Then we saw it. Shorter than expected, maybe 6 feet. Hair covered. Gaunt. Almost childlike. It didn't fight. It didn't run. Just stood there and stared as Doug raised the rifle. One shot. It dropped. And then it screamed. Not from its throat. From somewhere deeper. Something primal. Ancient. That sound echoed across the valley. Doug dragged the carcass back to camp, grinning. "We're going viral, boys." I couldn't shake the sound. The woods had gone silent. We built a fire, skinned the creature, took pictures, laughed. Then the wind shifted. The stench hit us. Rotting meat, wet hair, old blood. Something was coming. Doug vanished first. No sound. One moment he was sitting by the fire, the next, just gone. Only his rifle left behind. Bent in half. Joe screamed and started firing into the trees. Branches cracked. Something huge moved just beyond the firelight. Then silence. Then the growl. Low, rattling, intelligent. I ran. I didn't stop until I tripped and fell into a ravine. I looked up. It was there, 10 feet tall, eyes glowing faintly red. One massive hand holding Doug's shattered rifle like a twig, the other dripping blood. It didn't chase me. It just stared. It knew I pulled the trigger. And it let me live, so I could remember, so I could warn the others. But I don't think that's enough, because I think it's following me now. I was a camp counselor at Devilwood for 2 summers. It seemed perfect, remote, peaceful, like stepping into a postcard. But there was something off about that forest. The first time I heard the legend, it was from one of the older staff. "One camper goes missing every 10 years, he said. Just vanishes." We all laughed it off. Kids love scary stories. Until it happened. Lily was 9, bright-eyed, always drawing. Her bunkmates said she'd wandered off during the night hike, but I saw the look on the head counselor's face. He expected it. They told the kids she got lost. Search parties were organizing, but no one searched, not really. Then I started hearing her voice. At night, calling from the woods. Soft, calm, "Help me." But the voice was wrong. Too slow, too smooth. Like someone repeating it, trying to sound like a little girl, but missing something vital. I followed it, flashlight bouncing, breathing sharp. Then I saw him, at the tree line, 10 feet tall, fur like old moss, arms longer than they should be. And in his arms, Lily, smiling, eyes open, blank. Her mouth moved, but it wasn't her voice. I stepped back. A twig snapped. He looked at me. Not like an animal, like a thing that knew it had been seen. I ran. Didn't stop until I hit the mess hall. The staff didn't ask where I'd been, they just nodded. I left the next day. Never went back. But sometimes I still hear Lily's voice, in dreams, calling me back to Devilwood, and part of me wants to answer. They called me obsessed. Friends, colleagues, even my advisor. But I knew the truth. Bigfoot exists. The signs were always there, scattered across decades of blurred photos, whispered stories, half-buried news reports, noise to them, a pattern to me. So I went to where the sightings converged. North Cascades, deep interior, no trails, no rescue signal. Just me, my equipment, and whatever was out there. The first week was uneventful. Cold, quiet. I documented everything. Sounds, prints, broken branches. I kept a journal, set up motion cams, tried to sleep. On day 9, I found the footprints, 15 inches long. Deep, too deep for a human. Spread perfectly, too perfect, they circled my camp. I convinced myself it was a prank, but there was no one around for miles. And the prints were still warm. The next night, I heard the mimicry. My own voice calling back to me from the woods. James, come look. Exactly the way I say it on my recorder. Like something was playing it back, but slower, curious. Like a child trying to repeat a word it doesn't understand. Then came the tapping, not on trees, on my tent. Gentle, rhythmic, like knuckles on canvas. I stopped sleeping. My journal entries got shorter. My camera feed started glitching. Time felt elastic. Hours passed in minutes. Or was it the reverse? Then I started seeing it. Not directly, just movement. Behind trees, a flash of gray fur. Eyes, watching me from the shadows. Studying me. One night, I caught it in my thermal camera. Massive, upright, standing still. And then, it waved. Not wildly, not animalistic, just a human gesture. Slow, deliberate, like it understood exactly what I was doing. I ran out there, screamed, demanded it show itself. It did not. But the next morning, my tent was gone. My gear, shredded and laid out neatly in a spiral around where I slept. And my journal? Gone. Only one entry remained, written in handwriting that wasn't mine. You were right, I made it back, eventually. Stumbling, starving, half mad. They told me I must have gotten lost, hallucinated, starved myself into a fugue state. They don't believe me. But I hear it sometimes, at night, calling my name, my voice, echoing from the woods outside my apartment window. I never told anyone where I went. But somehow, it knows. In the summer of 1982, Markleeville, California, a quiet town nestled near the Hot Springs Resort, became the unlikely stage for a chilling encounter that would haunt a young couple forever. Sarah and Mike, both 28, had driven their beat-up trailer up to the forested area for a weekend getaway, seeking the soothing warmth of the natural springs and the tranquility of the wilderness. The dense pines loomed overhead, their shadows stretching long as the sun dipped below the horizon on their first night. They set up camp just off a narrow trail, the trailer parked on a bed of pine needles with a small fire crackling nearby. The air was thick with the scent of resin and the distant gurgle of the springs. As night fell, they settled inside, the soft glow of a lantern casting flickering shadows on the walls. Around midnight, a strange unease crept over them. The forest had gone silent, no crickets, no owls, just an oppressive stillness. Suddenly, the trailer jolted violently. Sarah gasped, clutching Mike's arm as the frame rattled again, the windows trembling in their frames. "What was that?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Mike peered out the grimy window, his breath catching as a massive, shadowy figure loomed beyond the firelight. It stood over 8 feet tall, its bulk covered in matted dark fur, with glowing eyes reflecting the dying embers. A Bigfoot. The creature let out a guttural roar, low and menacing, sending a shiver down their spines. It stepped closer, its heavy footsteps shaking the ground, and gripped the trailer's edge. With a terrifying lurch, it began to rock the structure, the metal creaking and groaning under the strain. Dishes clattered to the floor, and the couple screamed, huddling together as the trailer swayed like a toy. Sarah's cries mingled with the beast's snarls, its breath fogging the window as it pressed its face closer, revealing jagged teeth and a primal fury. For what felt like hours, though it was only minutes, the assault continued. Finally, the creature released its grip and vanished into the trees, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. Shaken and sobbing, Sarah and Mike barely slept, clutching each other as they listened for any sign of its return. Dawn couldn't come fast enough. As soon as the first light broke, they packed up in a frantic blur, abandoning their gear and sped away from the campsite, vowing never to return. The couple reported the incident to local authorities, but with no evidence beyond their terror-stricken account, it was dismissed as a bear or a prank. Yet, the memory of that night, the shaking trailer, the monstrous figure, and the primal fear lingered, a secret they carried from the wilds of Markleeville. It was the summer of 1976 when my wife Karen and I decided to take a weekend road trip up the Sierra Nevada range. We had driven through Lone Pine earlier that morning and were winding through the remote backroads that lead into the mountains near the Alabama hills. Dry, strange rock formations all around us like something out of a different planet. That's when the car died. No sputter, no warning, just a soft click and silence. We were miles from anyone, with dusk settling in fast. The nearest town, back toward Lone Pine, was about 5 miles behind us, and we hadn't passed another car all afternoon. With no other option, we grabbed a flashlight, locked the car, and started walking. The road was narrow and rough, flanked by boulders and twisted pines. About 20 minutes in, the sun dropped behind the range, and the temperature began to fall. That's when I first had the sense we weren't alone. Karen felt it too. She kept glancing back. "Did you hear that?" she whispered. I had. A low crunching noise, twigs snapping, but every time we stopped, it stopped. At first I told myself it was just a deer or maybe a bobcat, but the steps, they were too heavy, deliberate, like something walking upright. We picked up the pace, walking faster, then nearly jogging. Whatever it was, it mirrored us. We heard it breathing, low, wet, almost like a growl deep in its chest. At one point I flashed the light toward the trees and saw it. A shape, massive, covered in matted black hair, just standing there, watching. I pulled Karen down the embankment and we hid behind a dead log. We lay there silent for what felt like an hour. The forest had gone completely quiet, no crickets, no wind, just the sound of our breathing and the occasional thud of something moving just out of sight. Then came the smell, wet fur and rotting meat. It was so strong Karen began to gag. The thing walked past us, slow, dragging something, a deer maybe, or something worse. It paused right near our hiding spot. I swear it could hear our hearts pounding. Then, like a switch, it turned and walked away, lumbering off into the darkness. We didn't move until the first light of dawn. When we finally reached Lone Pine, we must have looked half dead. Dust-covered, shivering, shaken to the core. We reported it to the sheriff, but he just gave us a tired look and said, "You'd be surprised what's out there in those hills. You're lucky you didn't follow it." Thanks for joining us on this eerie journey through the forest near Lone Pine. These stories come straight from the archives of forgotten encounters, whispered through time. Please like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments if you've ever had a chilling wilderness experience of your own. The forest is silent now, but something is always watching. Like and subscribe before you head back into the woods.